surgery and the medical route kept me alive, but the alternative world gave me my life back.
So I am here today with Jeff and Catherine Pearson, and I am so excited to have this discussion with you guys. Jeff is a TV host. He's an author. He's an international speaker, and he's the creator of the TV show Invisible Condition, which airs on E360 TV. And also together, they are co-founders of Invisible Condition University. So guys, welcome so much to Healing Conspiracy. It is so great to have you on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's great to be here.
Thank you.
So Jeff, we met, a couple of months back, and your story was so amazing to me and so compelling. And you guys have really lived an alternative life, if you will. I think a lot of people don't understand when people are fighting through conditions, chronic conditions, whatever they may be, how much it affects the day to day. They don't see the journey, the inside story. But you guys have been so gracious to share so much. And, now your life's mission is to really help people through this, which I think is amazing. And, the great thing is, I think what people really need more than anything is hope. And just knowing that there is another side to this, and you can turn the struggle into growth and then into fruit that it makes people's lives better. So, of course, on Healing Conspiracy, we are always questioning the alternative, right? We are questioning what's going on, and we're asking a lot of questions. And so I think today's conversation can bring a whole lot of insight to maybe really questions that people need to be asking, and then considerations for their own conditions. So I really just want to open the floor up to you guys and just draw us in and take us through the things that have really shaped your lives and your mission.
Should I start?
Is that all?
Is that all? That's it.
That's all we need.
No problem. Yeah, that's not a big question or anything. You want to start? Or you want me to start? All right. So we'll just start here because this is kind of where everything started. I was born with a condition that not a lot of people know about by name, but it's called hydrocephalus. And hydrocephalus is something in my case, in most cases, is what happens when a baby or whoever it's not necessarily just diagnosed when you're little, but hydrocephalus occurs when somebody has some sort of blockage in their brain that doesn't allow the cerebral spinal fluid that the brain is producing all the time, and it has to go somewhere. Hydrocephalus occurs when there's a blockage in the pathway of that CSF to go somewhere and go. Naturally, it'll just drain down the ventricles and go down the spinal column. In my case, one of those ventricles was blocked, and so it was not allowing that fluid to escape, and that's a problem because if it stays there for too long, it can start to compress the brain, which causes brain damage, which can eventually lead to death. And so, the common treatment in 1977, when I was born, which is very common now, still, is to do brain surgery. And so that was my first brain surgery. It was at 2 weeks old. And they did the surgery and implanted that shunt in there and was able to reroute that fluid, which is great because it saved my life. And I've had 7 brain surgeries total, had about 15 surgeries overall to address other issues that go along with hydrocephalus. But it's kind of a big deal, and it's very common. It affects, in fact, every 15 minutes in this country, in the United States, somebody's being put to sleep, on a surgical table somewhere to have surgery to address hydrocephalus. So it's really common, and that's part of the reason that we started our show, Invisible Condition. We didn't want it to just be about. We didn't want it just be about hydrocephalus. That'd be pretty narrow, but it was a really good outlet to be able to get the awareness out there.
That's astounding, because to realize that many people are dealing with this, but yet I've never even heard of it until we've spoken. Right. So that's amazing. So how does it affect? I mean, obviously, if not treated, it has some very large ramifications, obviously even death. Is this like an ongoing thing? Is there a time where there's a reversal of it? Like, how does this work?
That'd be awesome. Not yet. Not so far. No, I'm 47. Haven't had a reversal yet. So go ahead.
There are some instances where, maybe a child will outgrow it and, somehow whatever's happened in the brain will get fixed. But there's no certainty. There's no like course of treatment that says if you do these things, the baby will, or the child will outgrow it. It's just, I would kind of chalk that up to miraculous.
Right.
Otherwise, yeah, people are living with it their entire lives.
Wow.
Sorry, were you gonna say something else?
No, that's okay. I don't remember what I was gonna say now. So it's all right.
No worries. So let me ask you this. So what is kind of the warning signs? Like, how do you know you need to go have a brain surgery? I mean, you've had 7 already. So how do you know that? Is there like a trigger that you go like, we've got to get to the hospital, or how does that work?
So yeah, because the device is always, it's literally inside my brain and right outside my skull under the skin here. So it's right there. I feel it every day. And so if something were to go wrong there, it's very obvious. And in the last 10 years, I've had 4 brain surgeries in the last 10 years, and every one of those has had very, very different symptoms, but all of them had one thing in common, and that was headaches. Absolutely crazy, painful, astronomical headaches. In fact, I say a lot that, those of us with hydrocephalus and maybe some other conditions out there, but especially hydrocephalus, we become headache connoisseurs because you got to know what the headache means. Did I just not eat enough? Did I not sleep enough? Did I, sleep in a weird position and kink my neck or something? That gave me or is it something I should go to urgent care and actually check out because it might be something serious?
Sure.
You just got to pay attention. But yes, the short answer is, headaches is a classic sign. There's some others, that other people have, they're just kind of, you looked it up on WebMD, symptoms of hydrocephalus. Vomiting is part of it. Fever can sometimes be part of it. Headaches are definitely a part of it. There might be a couple others in there, but for me personally, it's only been the headaches. None of the other symptoms that are, common I've not experienced.
So does this always start in infancy, or is it something that like someone can have no sign of this and then suddenly in their 40s develop this?
Yeah.
So it is fairly common at birth. And from an amateur perspective, I think it's really associated with birth trauma. Maybe not all the time, but I think there is a strong correlation. So we see that that's commonly at birth, babies. And then as it's actually pretty rare for someone midway through life to have this diagnosis. But there are definitely things that can trigger it. Stuff like multiple cases of meningitis, a really strong bump to the head, concussions.
Tumors.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Anything that restricts the flow of cerebral spinal fluid from where it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime that flow is interrupted by something that's obstructing it, a shunt is probably going to be used to free it up. And that's hydrocephalus. So.
Gotcha.
It's also really interesting too that as people get later into life, and some people will start to experience like Alzheimer's type, dementia type symptoms, and there have been cases where those have been they go get a CAT scan and they realize, oh, this isn't actually a memory issue. This is a flow of fluid issue. And so those can be reversed with, putting in the shunt, draining that fluid off, and then their memory comes back just fine. It wasn't actually dementia. It was something related to hydrocephalus. And sometimes the actual cause of those issues later in life, I think, is unknown, but they can happen.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Let me ask you this then. In your experience, obviously you're dealing with something that, although it's not necessarily rare, it's very serious. And this is where we can kind of take a look at Western medicine and be very thankful, because
Yes.
it's very advanced, it's very technological, and there are things that can be done, because in your case, more than likely taking some herbal supplements isn't going to do anything, so it's a very acute medical condition that, with a lot of information and technology and they can address that. So let me ask you this though. In what ways do you feel that Western medicine is not able to help you through what's going on? Because obviously they were able to come in and preserve your life, but there's more to life than just, I got a shunt. So talk to us about the effects of that and maybe where your frustrations have come in with living with a condition like this.
So I'll say this, from birth to about 36 years old, everything was cool. I had no frustrations with hydrocephalus. I had multiple surgeries. I had multiple, non-brain surgery type stuff that was related to the condition, that was like kind of a side effect of the condition. Never really had a real problem, it really only cropped up in the last 10 or 11 years. It started in summer of 2013 is when kind of the multiple surgeries started stacking up, starting in 13 and then 14 and 18 and 2021. And during those, that is where some of the side effects started to kick in, some of the after effects of surgery. And because honestly, let's just think about it for a second, right? You're going in there, you're poking around in the brain, anything could happen. You could wake up with anything. I mean, the brain is a very particular creature and does not like to be messed with. So you could wake up with anything. And so in 2014, for instance, I had 2 brain surgeries back to back within 24 hours because of a bacterial infection they found in my cerebral spinal fluid. Thankfully, it was contained in a pocket in my abdomen. It hadn't made its way to the brain yet, which was nice because that could have been very serious very quickly. So they had to do 2 surgeries within 24 hours to kind of get everything in place. And then after those surgeries, I left the hospital, thought everything was cool, and then I started having headaches. And they started to get worse and worse and more frequent. It got to the point that I was having migraine level headaches 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Wow.
That lasted for about a year. Wow. It was brutal. It was a nightmare. I was on the couch a lot.
Yeah.
And,
would you just take ibuprofen? I mean, how are you trying to curb it?
Nothing helped, man. They sent me home with some turbo pain meds. I had a virtual medicine cabinet at my disposal that they sent me home with. Nothing helped. So I basically just writhed on the couch and, ate Advil like they were M&Ms. Yeah. But go ahead.
So what we did try and do was go back to, tried the surgeon, because the shunt that he had at the time was adjustable. He could adjust the pressure and how much the fluid flowed through the shunt. And so we went back to the neurosurgeon and said, hey, let's try doing some adjustments, see what works. Did that a little bit. But at one point but it didn't really help. So at one point we went back and the neurosurgeon said, well, I guess you're going to have to live with headaches. And that was his answer. And so to your point, your question about frustrations, that probably more so for me, maybe.
Yeah.
From the outside was, really? That's all you're going to say is that, sorry, you're going to have to live with headaches?
So from my perspective, he's a neurosurgeon. He's not an alternative practitioner. He's not a craniosacral guy. He's a neurosurgeon. His job is to say, that thing that's trying to help your brain isn't helping your brain. I'm going to take that one out. I'm going to put this one in. It's going to help your brain.
Yeah.
I'm out. My expertise is done. That is what I trained for 20 years to do. That's what I know how to do. So I'm not surprised that was his answer.
Yeah.
But it did not relieve frustration over here. I was a little more great. I think I was a little more understanding of it because I was like, well, yeah, of course not. You don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, so we started looking around, and it took us a year of trying different things and trying, we tried all kinds of stuff. And what we ended up finding was we found a chiropractic neurologist, which I didn't even think was a thing until we found it. And it was somebody that was in our town. So we're like, let's give it a shot. And that reduced the frequency and severity of those headaches, those migraines by quite a bit, but they weren't gone. But
Yeah.
I thought to myself, if it's possible to reduce them, maybe there's something else out there. If this didn't get rid of them completely, maybe there's something else out there that can. So we kept looking, and we found neurofeedback, which for those of you who may not know what it is, we can talk about that if you want. But
Yeah.
neurofeedback, within about a month, about 4 or 5 treatments, migraines were completely gone. So I say kind of candidly that surgery and the medical route kept me alive, kept me breathing, didn't let me die.
Yeah.
But the alternative world gave me my life back. I'd still be sitting on that couch in there, writhing in pain, trying to find a pain med, probably on disability, if we hadn't found those 2 alternative things to try. So,
see, that is so powerful, because one of the things that I think people often don't realize is when we're dealing in standard of care in Western medicine, we're dealing with expertise and specialty all the time. And a lot of times, those hands are not talking to each other as much as we think that they should. And so you're right. You're getting people that they know what they do, but that's all they know. And, and it's not a criticism. It's just a reality. That's the way the system is set up. Right. And they're not looking holistically. They're looking very, very microscopically at, this is the issue that I can fix. So it's really a miracle that you guys even found, that kind of alternative thing. Cause like you're saying, like, I probably wouldn't have ever heard of that either. So talk to me a little bit about that therapy. And I'm very interested because, I'm sure this has a use case scenario for people just that suffer from migraines and different things. So
absolutely.
What does that look like?
In fact, the chiropractic neurologist we went to, his specialty is concussions. That's his thing.
Okay.
Is people that have suffered from concussions and symptoms from concussions. And so, he's seen the gamut, he's seen it all. And so he's just a specialized chiropractor with that neurology aspect to it.
Yeah.
So he does some manipulations that maybe a regular chiropractor without that would not do. And so I don't really know how to describe the differences between what he did and what a regular chiropractor could do. But I do know that the neurofeedback is very unique, and that I can speak to a little more. There are basically 2 types out there. One that says that you need to do 50 to 60 sessions of this therapy to see, results or whatever what you're looking for. This one, and then there's another one that says 10 to 12 sessions before people start seeing results. And the one that I happened to find, thank God, was the 10 to 12. Right?
The other one sounds like a lifetime subscription.
Right? So the 10 to 12, we got 4 or 5 in, and I was seeing, miraculous results. And so lens therapy, they call it, it's neurofeedback is kind of the type of therapy, but they call it lens, low emission neurofeedback. And so, the method is basically, they put little clips on your ears for like grounders, because it's electrical energy that they're channeling through your head basically. Yeah. And they recognize that there are 21 centers in the brain, right? There's cognitive thought is here, short-term memory is here, right? There's just different spots in the brain that different things are housed, so to speak.
Okay.
And so they take these little leads and stick them to your head 2 at a time, and kind of on those different centers of the brain, and send real low wave electricity through there, and it somehow rewires the brain. It's awesome.
So the conceptually, anytime we do anything to the brain, so whether it's surgery, maybe it's concussion, maybe it's emotional, like a strong emotional trauma, anything that kind of, the way the practitioner that we worked with, the way he described it is if there's static. If you think about old school radio, I know a lot of people listen to podcasts, but
XM,
right? But if you think about old school radio, there was a dial, and if you were in between stations, it would be fuzzy and it would be, white noise.
Yeah.
So that's what can happen in the brain if the signals aren't, aligned, then you can get this static on the brain, and that's what creates brain fog. It creates fatigue, and
lots of things.
Yeah, anything related to that. And so what that neurofeedback does is that it realigns those pathways, the circuitry, and it clears that static. So you get rid of the brain fog, you get rid of the migraines, you get rid of fatigue. A
lot of the things that are on the back of the business card of the person that owns this particular place in Colorado Springs has a whole bunch. There's a list of about a dozen symptoms that is very common that people come to, and concussion is one of them. ADHD is one. Brain fog. All these different things that people are taking strong medications for.
Sure.
And they're clearing it up with neurofeedback. And no, you don't need to take medication after that. So I credit them with bringing me back from the brink of disability, honestly, and helping me to stay off medications. Despite this crazy condition I was born with, I've never once taken a regular prescription med. And they are a big reason why. I mean, I could have been on prescription meds indefinitely if I hadn't found something like that. So it's pretty awesome.
Do you happen to recall the name of the machine that they use?
I don't, but I can tell you that the technology that they use comes from a place called Oaks Labs, OCHS, Oaks Labs. So if you go to oakslabs.com, you can learn anything you want about that technology.
And anyone within the country can go there,
oakslabs.com.
And find a practitioner that's closest to them.
Yep.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm curious because I had done some research into a machine called the Accuscope and the MyoPulse machine, and it sounds very similar in a lot of ways. And Oaks Labs sounds familiar to me, so I'm going to do a little bit of digging on that and see.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what the name of the machine is, but it could be. It could be. Yeah. But check it out.
Yeah, for sure. So is it affordable? Is it an affordable treatment?
I mean, I think so. I think they're now finally able to cover it with some insurances, but it's pretty affordable. It's not astronomical.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that throughout the country, there's different practitioners charge different amounts.
Oh, different parts.
I would guess you're talking more like low hundreds of dollars versus say thousands of dollars, if that.
Yeah,
that gives a range.
I mean, for 10 to 12 sessions, you might be spending $1,000 to $2,000 here in Colorado, maybe. Versus, I don't know. Cost of living is different everywhere, so it might be more in New York versus Colorado versus Wisconsin or whatever. But it's a heck of a lot less than $50,000 in the hospital or whatever.
And that was kind of my point. That's kind of what I was speaking to.
So,
yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So, it's encouraging to know that you guys are overcoming the situation, that you have found alternatives. And I think if anything, maybe, this message really says, do not give up. Like,
right.
There are alternatives out there, but you have to ask the right questions, right? And if you don't get the answer you're looking for from this person, then you go and you research and you find something else. And, and in your case, I think that's a golden testimony of saying, like, there is something out there that can help you.
I mean, there's a lot of things we tried. We tried vagus nerve stimulators. We tried cranial sacral therapy. We tried regular chiropractors. We tried different medications, different. I mean, it was trial and error. But the point is, you've got to be your own best advocate, and you've got to know when to say thank you very much. No, I'm out. We're going to go look somewhere else. Thank you very much. And just know your body and know how you feel and know when you've found the right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So, okay, tell me then about how this has shaped your new chapter in life and about Invisible Condition University and what it is and what you guys are now doing as a result of, the challenges that you faced.
Yeah, thank you. So really what came first was Invisible Condition, which is our TV show. And which Chris was an awesome guest, by the way. If you haven't seen the episode yet, you should totally check it out.
Yeah, we will.
It's on E360 TV. We also broadcast on Facebook and YouTube. So if you go to the Invisible Condition page or channel, you can find his episode. It didn't air that long ago, so it'd be really easy, pretty close to the top. So, but yeah, that show we were at a conference promoting our nonprofit, which we can talk about another time. So maybe that kind of sparked the TV show. We were talking about that, and we met the network president of the network that we're on now, and she said, tell me your story. And anytime you say 7 brain surgeries, people want to hear more.
Yeah.
And so we talked to her, and she said, well, cool, that sounds great, but we probably don't want to call it the Hydrocephalus Hour. That's not going to last very long. So we want to, that's a little too repetitive.
Right.
We want to get the word out, so we landed on Invisible Condition because we figured we'd be able to include everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody can be a part of it. And there's so many conditions out there that people are living with that you would never know. Like, you would never look at me walking down the street and know that I've had 15 surgeries.
No.
7 brain surgeries. Never. I don't have a sign, right? Like,
right.
So, so there's so many out there like that, though. There's forms of cancer, forms of other, autoimmune diseases. There's all kinds of stuff out there that you would never know. So we thought, this is perfect. This is going to be awesome. So we launched our show in April 4th of 23. And, April 4th of last year. It's been almost a year and a half. Good Lord. And so we're on every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. And every show we bring on another incredible person who is living and thriving despite some sort of condition you can't see from the outside. And companies and practitioners and organizations that are helping those, thrive. So.
Yeah. And let me just put in a plug. They have an amazing lineup of people. Like, there is some fascinating stories on there. So I would definitely tell you to check that out. So tell us a little bit about ICU.
So ICU came from the TV show, honestly, because we, over the last 10 years and these 6 surgeries and all this stuff, and our trial and error with all the crap that we found and some of the really useful stuff that we found. And we've and then all the, year and a half worth of guests and amazing people and practitioners and that we thought, man, we have got quite a treasure chest of information here of people that could help, and so now we have that. So Invisible Condition University is a place where people can come. And honestly, I kind of wish we would have had this 10 years ago. Honestly, I would have, because you didn't have a clue what you were getting into with all these surgeries. So she would have loved something like this. But it's a place for anybody, patients, caregivers, people that are helping in the life of the person that's got the condition. Come on the call. We're on twice a month. We just do a Zoom call for about an hour, twice a month, the first and third Tuesday of every month at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And it's an opportunity for people with conditions that have questions, because who doesn't have questions after you leave the hospital?
Absolutely.
You leave the hospital with more questions than answers sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right. I'm not speaking out of turn by saying that, but so that's where we come in. We wanted to form a community that listens and cares and walks through this with you, whatever the condition is.
Yeah.
And so it's a safe place. We don't broadcast it anywhere. We record the videos only so that we have it in an archive so that other members of the community can go back and, hey, I missed that call. Let's see what they talked about,
Right.
But really it's not broadcast anywhere. It's literally just for our members. So,
Yeah.
That's Invisible Condition University. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, and so if people, like Jeff and I, we came home from the hospital and then he was dealing with migraines for months on end. Another surgery that we haven't talked about yet, but he had one in 2021. And after that one, he ended up with large muscle motor tics or spasms. And
all down the right side.
That lasted for
a couple of years.
Yeah, part of 2 years. And so it's those questions, like what questions do people have? And they go back to maybe their medical doctor or their surgeon or whatever, and they say, what do I do about this? And the medical community is like, I don't know, sorry.
I mean, we went to our neurosurgeon with the tics too, and we're like, what is this? I mean, all the time. My right side of my body was just, It was just all the time.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure it out. I mean, we went to 2 different neurologists, stumped both of them, went to the neurosurgeon. He didn't have a clue what to tell us. And so, we had to go looking again.
So it's, for anyone, like, do you have questions about what you're going through? Do you have concerns? Are you wondering if, the medical community, may not have the answer, but maybe there is an answer somewhere out there. You just haven't found it yet. It's those types of situations and families that we would love to have join us. And we, want to create a community of support to answer those questions. If Jeff and I don't know the direct answer, like he said, maybe there's another person in our community or maybe
we can find it.
Someone who's been a guest on the show. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have the answer and be able to speak to whatever specific scenario that somebody is going through.
I mean, the answer we found for the tics was not found by me. It was found by my parents who live in Oregon, in Bend, Oregon. And they called me and said, oh my gosh, Jeff, you got to come up here. This might be, and I was like, sure, whatever. I'm cautiously optimistic of just about everything, after what happened in 2014, I'm like, sure.
Yeah.
Let's try it. What's to lose,
Right.
So we went up there and they did, there was a woman up there that was amazing and ended up doing pressure point therapy on the vagus nerve, which for those who don't know what the vagus nerve is, it's the largest nerve in your body, starts at the brainstem, comes down here, branches into literally everything. It's in your toes, it's in your fingers, it's everywhere. And so she just went down my body, right from head to toe, pressure point therapy.
With their elbow
therapy, and basically pressed in until the pain went away for every spot in my body that had that nerve that was giving me trouble. And she did about a month's worth of work on me in 3 days, but it hurt. It was painful.
Yeah.
But I don't have the tics anymore. I don't have the brain fog that I had. And so there again, it's the non-medical things that if you just have the resource, which ICU could be that resource for you.
Yeah.
You might be able to find the solution. You never know until you ask. So,
well, and that's so powerful because, even in times like this, maybe even if people aren't looking for solutions, people need community. They need to know they're not walking through this alone. And that's been, even for us, we have a strong community, but it's one of the hardest parts, especially on the caregiver, especially like on my wife. It becomes a challenge, because it's every single day, relentlessly, you're dealing with this.
Yeah.
So I think that's a super amazing platform that you guys have created, and I'm really excited. So,
and if people want to be a part of it, I just want to throw this out there. If people want to be a part of Invisible Condition University, please come. It's going to be amazing. And I have a landing page for you to go to get your first month free. It is a paid community, but it's cheap. It's like $17 a month. If you go to Starbucks twice in a month, you've paid more than that. So we wanted to make it super affordable, but even more so, we'll give you the first month for free. So if you go to myfreegiftfromjeff.com, you'll get the first month for free, and you can come check it out. We do twice a month, so you get to come twice for that month. That's for free, and then
Awesome.
And I know you'll love it. So
Awesome. And we'll put that link in the show notes. So yeah, Jeff. Well, guys, this has been tremendous, and I'm so appreciative of your time, and I thank you because I think you've given us a really great perspective today. That first of all, you have to keep searching until you get that healing that you're looking for, and to realize that sometimes standardized care can only take us so far, and there are alternatives. There are alternatives, but don't give up, and you've got to keep pressing on. So, any last thoughts?
Well,
I think almost what you just said, just keep believing, keep having faith that there is a solution out there that will, that's absolutely suitable and will fit what you need. Keep looking.
And yeah, sorry.
No, yeah.
And the last thing that I like to say, because it's I heard it somewhere. I don't remember where I heard it, but I love it, so I stole it. Life doesn't have to be perfect to be amazing. You don't have to. It can be messy and still be pretty awesome.
That's
so,
right.
In the midst of looking for all this stuff and finding the right thing that's going to work for you, it's cool. Just press on. Just keep going because life is still beautiful.
That's amazing. Thank you, man. Jeff and Catherine, thank you guys so much for being here today. And we just are excited to see where this takes you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.